months have been some of the other challenges that you've had to overcome in some of the logistics of doing some of what you do? Because obviously some of what you're doing in the engineering field applies specifically to engineers, not necessarily to other business owners, but as it relates to other business owners, what would you say have been some of the issues that you had to get past logistically?
The hard part for us has been planning for growth.
It's interesting you say that. When you say planning for growth, do you mean having the pieces and parts in place so that you can support the growing infrastructure, or the growing sales rather, the growing revenue, or do you mean the other way?
No, exactly that. It's almost like a what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So, and most of it's happening for our Austin office and our Austin group. They've been pursuing some big contracts for the last couple of years. And it's a discussion of, if they hit, we're going to need more staff. If they hit, we're going to need bigger office space. We're going to need these things. We're going to need that. And so we've done some calculated hires. And we've hired a couple more people. And we've moved offices and tripled our office space. And we've gotten a little more, hardware and infrastructure. But in the meantime, we're also continuing to chase these jobs. And so it's an investment. And that's the thing that we've been, another one where you have to try to stay patient on and figure out how long you're willing to be patient for. Because it's this investment of, okay, we're going to chase this job for 2 more months or 3 more months, or we're only going to chase it till the end of the year. And every month that you chase it, you're spending time on that thing rather than spending time on something you could be billing for. In the hopes that that project turns into something phenomenal and you get to bill a bunch for it and it's going to be all worth it. And if you land that project, you have to have some of the staff at least to support it immediately. And so you hire a little bit of staff, and then you try to find enough work to keep them busy, but not so busy that if this big project comes through, they won't be able to work on it. And so it's a very challenging balance to figure out how to manage, how to plan for growth, how to say, when do we suck it up and get a bigger office and pay more rent? When and how much new staff do we hire in anticipation of some of these projects? And really, what are the odds? Put an odd marker on each of these jobs and say, what are the chances we're really going to get this? And if there's enough of them that are over 50 or 60 or 75%, then maybe it's worth putting one more person on staff, so that the odds are one of these several on the list is going to come through. But in the meantime, that waiting game is hard, because until that time, you're raising your overhead in anticipation of all these things, and we're doing this cautiously, but it's a patience game.
Yeah. Would you say that you have developed a system at this point, so that you have a systematic
Evaluation?
growth? Yeah.
I'd say we're working on developing one. I'd say we have a moderate one in place of, let's have a group discussion and let's figure it out. But I wouldn't say we have a true scoring system to say, okay, it meets the test and we're good. We're working towards that, but we don't have that today.
Well, interesting, you said evaluation, and I really meant more a systematic approach or a systematic method by which you can go out into the market. And I mean, your business is driven more by what is available and what is already working within the market. You don't necessarily go out and create need. You're satisfying a need that's already in the community, in the market. And so then you and the competition are all out there trying to do what you can to get these jobs, right? So is there a systematic method? Have you developed some kind of an approach? I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I've identified for small businesses is to have some type of a turnkey system in place, so that they can track and monitor and measure and boil their activities down to a certain number of key items on a daily basis, so that they will ensure that they will have success this month, next month, the year after. So have you guys, are you at that stage, or do you think you've already put some of that together? How does that look?
I think we're developing that right now. So about 3 months ago, I felt like we had hit the 2-year, a little over the 2-year threshold of the firm, and that we had been flying by the seat of our pants for a couple of years, and it had all been working because there was just stuff happening everywhere, and it was going great. But the economy can only be great for so long, and we're fortunate that things are still working. But I felt like we needed to go to the next level, and we needed some regrouping and retooling to figure out how to get to exactly what you're talking about. And we actually hired a business consultant, a professional coach, for lack of a better description, locally, that has been working with us on how to set those milestones, how to establish the evaluation process, what we can do, and really helping all of us work through roles and responsibilities. So now we've got 3 of us that are financially invested in this firm, and really saying, look, you're this guy, you're good at this thing, you got to step up to the plate and do all of that so that he can do this and she can do this. And everybody kind of needs to stay in their box, but live up to their responsibilities so that we can do exactly what you're saying and say, Linda's only focusing on billings and receivables and pursuing new business, and you're focusing on technical oversight and this and that. And so we've been working through how to establish everybody's boxes, and that way once we have that defined, I can establish my daily checklist and they can do the same. But it's a process.
Absolutely. So you, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that you're helping to identify, determine everyone's strengths, really, and then play to the strengths.
Exactly.
You know, it's funny, a lot of people that I've worked with in business have an idea that they have to be good at everything.
You can't be.
And it's just so hard to do that. And you really, I don't know that you don't ever get to that point. You might drive yourself crazy trying to do that. And so I've read and learned and been taught by other people that really what you want to strive to do is get good at a few specific items, you know, maybe play to your strengths, and then that develops everything else.
Right.
So last couple questions, because I know we're running short on time. What would you define as success? How do you define success?
Ow. Obviously, the biggest part for me would be, I'd say, personal satisfaction. I don't know how, I don't necessarily think it has to do with money. I mean, I think we all love money, and I'd love to say that, you know, first year out of the gate, my business made millions of dollars, which it clearly didn't. I think that would be lovely, and maybe I'd have, you know, shinier things or whatever, and that's certainly nice. But having a stable business with people that I enjoy working with and care about, and I look forward to going to every day, and we're in the black, I think is a success. Whether that's a 3-person office or a 50-person office. And I hope one day it's a 49, because the labor laws change at 50. So I hope one day it is a 49-person office. But
and then everybody will really stay in startup mode.
Right? Yeah. But I think it has a lot to do with personal satisfaction and enjoying being where you are.
Interesting. Well, you know, I wholeheartedly agree with money being one of those things that shows up when you really love what you do, and you give passion to what you do, and it seems like you really do that. Last question. Okay. What would you say to all of those budding engineers, entrepreneurs, established business owners, networkers, all of the audience that we have in the El Paso Business Network? What would you say are the top, let's say, 3 things maybe that you've identified? If you take care of these 3 things on a daily basis, they're going to be helping to assemble a great week. And if you do that for the week, then you're going to have a great month. And if you do that for the month, you're going to have a great quarter.
I'd love for somebody to tell me that.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure what the answer is.
Okay.
I think on a daily basis, it's make sure you know where your business sits financially. figure out who your clients are and what they need. And make sure you know what your employees are doing and what they need. Whether that's mentoring, whether that's training, whether that's Diet Cokes in the refrigerator. It's just basically know what's going on around you. And not too often we sit back in our office and feel like I need to lose touch because I've got this thing to do and I'm only going to read this report. And people don't see what's happening around them. And things can go up in flames or crumble to the ground while you're not paying attention.
So true.
And so those three things are really just a little part of paying attention to what's happening around you.
And just one note, I think based on what you told me, you're focusing as your strength, those speak to that which you are already defining as your box.
Right.
So, well, it's been a fascinating interview. I, again, appreciate that you've taken the time to do this and to help anybody out there in our El Paso Business Network community that finds value in some of the, really, in my opinion, some of the tidbits of gold that you've gotten from a success, a Latina woman that has become a shining star in our region and looking to do some amazing things as they continue to grow in our market. So any last words for our viewers and fellow entrepreneurs?
No, just keep your head up. Always try to have a plan and stay patient when you know the plan's going to come together. You just can't see it quite yet.
Words to live by. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure.